Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. Today's video, we are doing Griffin versus SKT, the summer finals. This is game number 2. And remember, this is a blind VOD review. I don't know how, I obviously know how the series ends. I know SKT wins 3-1, but I don't even know which game Griffin wins or anything like that, or any of the champions. I've stayed as far away from this as possible, although LCK is my favorite league to watch. I didn't watch the games because I knew SKT was going to win, and I just wanted to stay as far away as I could until I could do this VOD review. So I'm really excited to bring this to you. Let's get right into the draft. All right, here we are at the draft, and what's interesting is I believe in Korea they do in best of fives, the higher seeded team gets first, third, and fifth, games to pick from, and then the lower seed gets second and fourth, and SKT is the lower seed. And what's interesting is if SKT does have side selection, they actually picked blue side. This meta has been for sure red side favored, especially in Korea, and I think overall red side is much better, especially for except for with the exception of some specific matchups. But it's really interesting that they picked blue side here because that might just suggest, since Griffin is leaving up open Akali, SKT is so happy to take the Akali because they can actually flex that pick, and they don't actually need red side in order to get that. And they're just happy with banning Yuumi and taking the trade of the Akali Sylas. And it seems like it's really easy to get the same draft that they got before if that's what they want to go with. So maybe that's why they picked that instead of red side. But you would normally expect people to select red side. Okay, the bans are the same for SKT, and so far those bans are exactly the same for Griffin. So no adaptation so far. Okay, here's the adaptation. Was it still at ×2 speed? That's why that's going so fast. Okay, so here's the adaptation. We're taking the Elise and Tahm Kench. So it's denial of the Elise Renekton combo at least. And then they're still prioritizing the Tahm Kench, which I still think Tahm Kench is great. Some people think he's overrated, but he's really great for lane safety, as well as what I think he's the best at doing is actually enabling a 1-3-1 option. And I think 1-3-1 is super, super viable in this meta. We'll just take Ezreal Braum. So Braum who can throw hands and Ezreal who gets super priority. Oh, is it at normal speed now? Wow, they're just picking so fast. I don't even have time to talk. The Ashe is locked in immediately. That is interesting. So Ashe is a champion who's very good in lane. So you haven't seen Ashe in a while, but Ashe is very good in lane and can actually get priority in lane early, and can match in mid prio. And paired with the Tahm Kench, you get a lot of safety, and you already denied one of the aggressive jungle options. So that's really, really interesting that it's picked so early. I do love Ashe as a champion. I think she's definitely playable in the meta. Okay, Renekton is banned out. So they're banning out the safe top laner that you can blind. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, the Skarner is banned out. That's an interesting ban because you don't expect Quid to play Skarner. Maybe they know something that I don't know, but I can't imagine Quid playing Skarner in this series. Very interesting. The SKT, if they pick a good top lane, a good side lane champion, then they do have can possibly have some 1-3-1 options. Don't match as well as a comp that has a Tahm Kench. So it'd be really interesting where SKT goes with their draft right now. So banning out some of the aggressive top laners, so that's good right there. SKT leaves the Sylas open in hopes that maybe they can get it. But they're really worried about top lane getting punished too hard by a counter pick, so they're fine with giving the Sylas over. So the Sylas is most likely going to be mid lane, I would have to imagine, right? Unless they expect Khan to take the Akali in the top side. Let's see though. They're still keeping the flex pick open right here, so this is a good pick right here for Griffin. They go for the Sejuani. You get the double passive with Braum. And Sejuani buff, and you have synergies with Akali. I really like giving Quid a whole ton of agency in the early game, so I don't like the Sejuani pick specifically for SKT in this series because I really, really, really like Quid being on more aggressive style champions. But when you pair it with the Camille Akali, you have a very good top side. Okay, interesting. Blind pick Camille. Ooh, that gets a little spicy in there. Blind pick Camille. Let's see. And it looks like we're going to get the Gangplank. Alright, so the Gangplank is locked in. So with the Gangplank, as a Camille player, you don't have a whole lot of kill threat in the 1v1 because you just eat the orange. But if you do get some good trades as a Camille, and then you get level 6, at level 6 you do have some kill threat in the 1v1 if the lane is going well. But in the early laning phase, Gangplank should just be able to farm up and harass you pretty easily. Let's see if they actually do their trades. Okay, now we have the team compositions locked in. Let's talk about win conditions. All right, SKT locked in another composition that can play the 1-3-1 if they want to. So they have 1-3-1 options. They have the double melee topside with the Sejuani. So when you have that set up, and Camille is insane with Sejuani. Like, Camille is insane with Sejuani. So they do have the setup to make plays around their topside again. And you have Teddy on Ezreal with the defensive bottom lane. So you have defensive bottom lane that's going to get pushed in. So defensive bottom lane is going to get pushed in. It's very difficult to dive. The Ezreal is at least difficult to dive. So you would expect Quid to want to play around topside. Could easily just play around mid again. But when you have Camille Sejuani, that really suggests you want to play around topside. And SKT don't shy away from playing around topside. But I do like Quid being on more of an aggressive choice of a jungler that can kind of control the Euro game. But when you have these double melees, you win in the 2v2 anywhere that you go. So anywhere you go with Sejuani, you should win in the 2v2 unless you get hit out of fog by the Elise or get caught off guard. So if the play starts on an even play state, you would favor Sejuani and any of the solo laners comboed together. But you do have the surprise factor of Elise. If Elise gets her combo off first and you don't have your Aftershock proc, you can be a very, very dead piggy in that matchup. Cool, so we do have some 1-3-1 options over here. Expect Quid to play around the top side and mid in the early game. And, you know, this is a great comp for SKT in terms of what they like to do because they just like to get Teddy to the mid game. He's not, you know, somebody who normally slams people in lane. He's just a hyper carry player and a teamfight AD carry. Obviously, Ezreal wasn't a hyper carry, but they can have some great 1-3-1 setup. If they get some advantages around their solos again, they can just run it back from last game. They do not have the aggressive option in the jungle, but the 2v2 is still very good. So it would be really interesting. Again, you're putting the tools in the Quid's hand. If Quid's able to make this happen around these solo lanes, and if the solo lanes are able to make it happen, then SKT can be in a very good spot to have a very good late game. They have a very, very, very good late game composition. A team that can come online and the mid game on 2 items as well. And you have really great synergies with your solos and your jungle. So, in a defensive bottom side. So, expect them to play around that. If you get big advantages, you scale well into the late game. You can run 1-3-1, and you can have a lot of threat when you start getting vision denial. All right, on Griffin's side, you have the early game jungler. So you have the early game jungler and the priority bottom side. So you have the priority bottom side. I already talked about the Akali Sylas matchup. Levels 1 through 5, usually Akali favored. Level 6 going to be usually Sylas favored because he's better at utilizing the ultimate with the Kingslayer. After the Akali goes in on you, you Kingslayer. And Faker's going to take TP for sure, so you're not going to be able to healing debuff him. And then also the what am I looking at? Okay, I was looking at my recording stats. Okay. But then at about level 9, usually becomes Akali favored in the 1v1 because you have access to the Gunblade by that time usually, and you can match wave clear with your Q once it has 5 ranks in it. So it's usually Akali favorite at that point if you're at an even game state. You can match in the side lanes. Eventually, Camille will outscale the Gangplank in the side lane, so Camille outscales everybody in the side lane essentially, and it does become a little bit riskier after Khan has level 6. You know, before level 6, if Khan goes in for aggressive trades, you just orange the stun, right? But it would be very scary to play Gangplank into Sejuani and Camille because you know that's what they want to do. So Tarzan has a couple options he can do. So you can either leave Doran on an island. You know, Gangplank's a good weak side champion, but if SKT want to play around top side, I would expect Doran to die. But if Doran can outplay, you can just give the tools to Doran and say, hey man, I hope you can outplay. I'm going to shadow around bottom side. We're going to look for a dive. You can make some plays around mid if Sylas can get his stun off. Then you can just, if Sylas lands a stun, you can flash in, do your thing. It's not quite like a Renekton, so it's not as powerful as a Renekton combo. But Tarzan has some gank setup with mid and bottom. Doesn't have the best gank setup in top, but can just look to try to fight 2v2 in the top side. Can possibly win out on that 2v2, but would definitely favor SKT. So It really comes down to Tarzan and Quid again, man. If this comp gets to the late game, it is pretty scary. It's set for it is hard to match it is hard to match in the 1-3-1 once Camille is fully online. Something that is great, this comp does lack some engage. It's set for that Silas can take the Sejuani ultimate. You drop Gangplank ultimate on the same time Ashe ultimate goes out. So you have this really cool like slow engage. That's pretty neat. And then you can take Silas can utilize a lot of ultimates on the same. So he likes the Sejuani ultimate. He likes the Akali ultimate, and the Braum ultimate's pretty nice as well on the Silas. It's not too bad. So the strengths of Griffin's comp is they should have a priority bottom side. Can match lane priority in mid. They can rotate. If SKT is trying to make the 1-3-1, they can collapse on a 1-3-1 with the Tahm Kench. So the denial of the Tahm Kench is important. So they can make some collapses around the side lane. So it's not like just SKT gets ahead and they're able to just shove you down. You do have the Tahm Kench where you could punish that play style, and you do have decent scaling options where you can match in the mid game. And you do have some champions that can match in the mid game. Ashe can match in the mid game. So both comps are pretty decent. Really, honestly, if one comp gets ahead, you can close out. I do still, again, favor SKT's comp. I think SKT's comp is great for what they want to do. So it'll be really interesting to see how this game goes. But definitely winnable game for Griffin. A very, very, very winnable game for Griffin. All right. Getting the ×2. I do still favor SKT's draft. But for sure, winnable game. Okay. Have some issues. Okay. All right, here we are. Okay, didn't see what just happened. Where are wards? Okay, they got that's Tarzan's ward, I believe. Or is that Chovy's? It's Chovy's ward? No, Tarzan's ward. Did he kill a ward? Is that a zombie ward? And is that Faker's ward? Okay. All right. Sorry, I was so confused. Looks like both of them are doing Krug's clear. So Tarzan might be doing Krug's clear so he can stay on top side. So he can do Krug's clear and just kind of shadow up here because he expects Sejuani to clear towards top side. That may be what he's doing, or he may just be looking to full clear down and take bottom scone and just split sides of the map. If he does split sides of the map, it does leave the risk that possibly Doran could get dove, and but then you just try to make the cross map play at the same time. Camille is getting a little bit low. He does have biscuits, so just looking to trade aggressively. Oh, Khan actually loses his flash here. That's pretty big. Oh, Doran lost his flash too, though. And look, this wave is building up. Ooh, we are in a risky spot, and Elise is bottom side. So, oh man, this is a really risky spot. So, but they both lost their flash. So Doran is actually just going to back and TP back the lane. Camille is building up a sizable wave. Okay, all right, they both just decide to call the play off. But if Doran was to stay right there and Sejuani just goes straight top, you saw Quid walk into the river. But since the Gangplank walked out of vision, they just called the play off. So as I said before, Tarzan tries to make the cross map play. Camille TP's back in. Sejuani is still on top side. So Gangplank not having a flash is actually so huge, though. We'll see if it actually turns anything. Khan isn't into a position to build up a big wave, though, right now. He had to make the wave reset. So he might be looking to trade aggressively and then make a wave pushing the tower. You see Quid coming behind him. So they are for sure trying to make a play around this side. And they know Elise is bottom side. So let's see. All right, the wave is actually pushing into Khan. They have a limited time to make this happen. Oh, Quid is over vision right now. Okay, he knows he's spotted. All right, wow, good job, Doran. Nice. You know what both teams want to do. They get any summoners? They got efforts heal. Okay. So neither plays work out for the jungler. Tarzan's going topside because his camp is coming up. He does know Camille doesn't have flash, so he might push in to look for that. He actually gets some defensive vision down for Gangplank. So good job by Tarzan there. So he just gets defensive wards down. The lane's pushing into Camille, so he's not gonna be able to make a play unless the wave's building up big enough and he wants to look over for a dive. Could possibly look for one. That would be really spicy if they actually get a dive on the Khan. Khan is ultless as well. Ooh, just got a little ahead of himself. Feels like he should have like flashed there, right? Just threw it right into him, and he was just seeing if he could get the easy one. But once that cocoon's down, then there's no way to do it. Feels like there's a way that Khan dies there, right? Did they spot him out? No, they didn't spot him out. Oh man, here it comes. Oh, they're gonna call this up. Yeah. That was really good of Tarzan to stay topside. I mean, he was mainly just staying topside because his camps are coming up. But that would have been a devastating play. You can tell fully what SKT wants to do, but Tarzan's actually fully denying this. So that's not like a next level Galaxy Brain play. He was honestly just topside because his camps are up. You can say whatever you want about that. I mean, he full cleared down bottom side so that his camps would respawn at this time. The time that, oh my god, my camera's in the middle of the screen. Ah, I'm sorry. The time that the time that could come back up there, but he was mainly just sticking around to clear his camps, but it just happened to be a good timing. And Quid doesn't have the information to know what his camps are at that time. He should know his red is coming up, so maybe he would stick around for that. All right, they do have priority bottom side, so Tarzan can just look to get this. The matchup in mid lane is at the point where it could possibly be Silas favored. Silas went for the aggressive itemization, so he has the revolver. Silas is running slightly low on... No, he has a bunch of potions. He won't actually run out of mana, never mind. It's so hard to make a play on a Kali, though. I can't believe my camera's in the middle of the screen. I'm so sad. Keep doing that. Alright, Chubby has blue buff now. Does look like Faker's looking for a reset. And he will be able to get one. Alright, flashes are now back up on the top lane. Khan is at a position in the lane where he does have kill threat. He actually has a big CS advantage. After level 6, you do actually have somewhat of kill threat. You do need Gangplank's flash to be down, or be able to trade aggressively to make this happen, though. Khan does have his defensive vision, so he's able to play back. This pink ward in here is just to make sure Sejuani can't cheat into the lane. Alright, it'd be really interesting if we go for this Rift Herald here, based on the positioning of everybody. Griffin could, if they wanted to, go for a lane swap on a good back timing. So Ashe actually just shoved in the lane. In the position of Tom Kench, he has his ultimate up, so they might just look to force a play around this objective. But you see SKT is actually moving in right now. That's why Brahm's coming up. It would be really interesting if Griffin did a lane swap right there. They totally could, right? Okay, he flashes for it, gets the kill. I really think they should have went for a lane swap there. Because now SKT has priority around the side with the objective. They just killed the top laner. They're clearing out vision. They're getting river control. You can see Griffin set up river control for this objective. I really feel like they should have lane swapped there. Interesting. Just looking to steal some Raptors. What you know on that champion. They both have lane wards for roaming. That's why those wards are positioned there, if you just don't know that. Khan did take Comet, I just realized. That's for lane trades. Did use his flash to get that. Doran still does have flash, so it's going to be difficult to make that play again. But that was really, really good. Alright, well, Griffin's window to lane swap for the objective has passed, because now the mountain is up. And Faker isn't quite on his one item, so he's not as scary as he otherwise would be. So he's not quite on his one item. But they do get over the dragon at a good timing, and SKT is able to actually grab it up. Man, really squandered opportunity by Griffin. They were in such a good position to respond better to a top lane play. Could have made their play of their own. And Tarzan's really not making anything happen right now. It's not very good to see. Wow. Yeah, just really not able to make anything happen right now. He did get the early Mountain Drake based off of priority, but man. Okay, yeah, now they're gonna force bottom side. And if they force bottom side, they can get a lane swap if they still want that Rift Herald. The Rift Herald is definitely diminished in value now. So it's less likely we'll even look for a lane swap. It might just be time if they get that tower just to set up in a 1-3-1. Hmm. Really interesting if teams prioritize Rift Herald. We might just go to kind of a lull state here, just because the Rift Herald is such lower in value now. And the next objective that we'll fight over is either gonna be Rift Herald or this Cloud. Does look like we're pushing in for Rift Herald. No, okay, just getting vision. And Quiz is gonna just come in and replace it, but they do have that Scuttle Crab. Alright, we can see bottom tower is broken, so now we'll just take either the Ashe mid or lane swap at top. They are going to be able to, they do have a lot of priority. Griffin has a lot of priority on this Rift Herald. Be interesting if SKT chooses to fight over this. This is a much lower value Rift Herald than it would normally be. So SKT doesn't choose to fight this because they weren't actually in position to fight it very well. If they went for a fight there, most likely a losing fight, and you don't want to go for a losing fight, for an 18-minute Rift Herald, in kind of a neutral game. A late Rift Herald is only valuable if you're snowballing. Then you can use it to further snowball. It's only like super valuable that way, like where it's worth contesting. But if you're snowballing super hard, and you probably don't have the ability to contest in the first place. Alright, while that all was happening, SKT was getting river control around the dragon. And Griffin doesn't look like they're in a very good spot to respond because Ashe was on a back timing. Ashe is on 2 items now. You do definitely favor Ezreal on 2 items. He did start Blade of the Rune King rather than some of the other starts that Ashe players have been going now. They either go, some Ashe players have been starting Triforce, actually, which is pretty interesting. I'm not a huge fan, actually. Or Essence Reaver. But when you take Blade of the Rune King, it makes it to where you can actually throw hands early game. Nice. And so that's Ashe able to throw hands and having Rift Herald. So the build that he currently has right now is so great in the mid game because you can clear waves instantly with your rune ends, and then you can actually throw hands a little bit with your Hurricane. So it makes you actually like a strong 2-item AD carry, which typically crit AD carries you expect them to be strong at 3 items. Makes it where you're very strong at 2 items. Ezreal's going for the more aggressive build. This is a game where he for sure could have gone Iceborne because there's a lot of melee champions. These are essentially all melee champions except for Tarzan. Except for Viper, but this is mostly melee champion. So it would have been interesting to go for that option, but picks the Triforce, more aggressive. He already has the QSS. So if you get stunned out of fog or you just get hit by an Ashe ultimate, he has some options to get away from that. Teddy really does like to prioritize that to make sure he doesn't die. Teddy's so good at not dying. He's actually very, very good at like not dying and maximizing damage. You hardly ever see Teddy make those really boneheaded plays. Alright, they're just still forcing around this 2v2. That is so strong. Doran tried his best, but if Khans flashes up, you're dead. That 2v2 is devastating. Alright, so now what SKT is trying to do is get this Camille to be a monster, and no one will be able to answer Camille. And you can get a great 1-3-1 setup, or just a 4-1, like a 0-4-1, and have the Akali and the Sejuani try to shadow the Camille, because it does get dangerous. Even though Camille gets to a point where she's unstoppable, it does get dangerous when the Tahm Kench is on the map. So Tahm Kench is the answer to what SKT wants to do right now. But if Camille can get 3 items, she becomes an absolute terror. But Griffin's comp does have the ability to deal with it, so really interesting how this goes. Every time Camille flashes up, this is going to happen. Every single time. Doran tried his best, but There's nothing you can do about that. Oh, man. Okay. Next objective is the Cloud Drake. Neither team have a whole lot of Baron threat. You know, they both do have mountains and a Blade of the Rune King. In like 3 minutes, they are going to have legitimate threat. So Ash, itemize for the Hex Drinker, just so you don't get one-shot by the Akali. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that, because if you're in position to get one-shot by Akali, you're probably doing something wrong in the first place when you have a Tahm Kench. So it goes for a more defensive itemization. I think it's fine, but I don't know. I think this next fight is important for both teams. If they're actually going to take it, they're going to take a fight with each other. SKT might just opt to not take the fight and trade Cloud for a top structure. So that is what they're going to do, and that's a really fine trade for SKT because they don't need that Cloud. And then the game just equalizes in Clouds, and that's fine. These are the Earthbending Drakes. Wind and Earth. Hurl rocks at people. Alright. Okay. Camille is definitely at a point where she can 1v1. So this is the 1v1 style build. What you'd expect in this game. You don't expect her to go for the Sterix second item. That's the team fighting build. Interesting to see where Khan goes next. Maybe a Death's Dance. Like full 1v1. But I would imagine he probably goes for the Sterix. And then you're able to actually team fight. Maybe goes for GA. That's another item for team fighting. Probably go Sterix or GA, I would imagine. Sterix helps you out in the 1v1 more. GA helps you out in the team fight. Alright, SKT gets a good fight around here. Okay, both people are TPing in. Look at Khan's position, though. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now they have priority on Baron. They do have a mountain, so they actually have legitimate Baron threat. So normally you wouldn't say this on an Ezreal, but he went more aggressive itemization, and they have a mountain. Nice. Nice. All right. They're going to get... All right, they're going to go for a reset now. And now they can set up in a bunch of different ways. So Camille is a monster. So you set up Camille on a side lane. You can go for full 1-3-1, or you can just go for put your Ezreal and Braum in the mid lane, and then you can have your Camille being shadowed. Because Griffin right now are going to have to try to answer, right? If you don't look for any fights anywhere, you're probably going to lose to inhibitors. So they might look to try to collapse on this Camille. That is like the answer. You try to collapse on the Camille. It is so hard to collapse on Camille or Akali though. But you do have the Tahm Kench, so you do have some tools. So Camille is just going to punish. Or the other option, you look for the team fight in the mid lane. But really, Griffin has to look for something, or they're just going to get siege down. This is like a gold Baron, right? This is a Baron to get gold. Yeah, you see Quid, he's just shadowing, making sure the Tahm Kench can't collapse. Man, and this is going to be such a high value Baron if Griffin can't get a fight anywhere. Alright, they're looking for the fight mid. This is what you have to do. But SKT has such good disengage with Braum, Ezreal, and Sejuani that you just spam out those ultimates. Ooh, gets a 1v1 kill. Alright, Chovy does get the 1v1 kill, but at the same time, SKT gets 3 towers. And that's going to be all she wrote for the Baron, but that's a 4k Baron power play. And you get an Ocean. Helps with your siege, I guess, a little bit. You know, low value Ocean Drake, but, 3k Baron power play. Alright, let's watch this 1v1. Bakadu. Nice Zanyas. Nice Zanyas. That E connected, he was dead. The second part of the E actually does a ton of damage now. Alright, did go for the Sterix itemization, so this is better for the 1v1 than a GA would be. But it's also good for a team fight. Not quite as good as GA for the next team fight. Is getting collapsed on, so let's see how this actually plays out. There's no getting out of this. 4 people, 5 people. Hey, that's power Tahm Kench. At the same time, SKT is just swap sides of the map. So I think that's a good play by Griffin, but they are going to lose a tower for it. And then SKT can just reset off of that. There's no objective on the map, so it's fine for Khan to die for that. Because SKT is just able to get a turret off of it. So it's nice to get the shutdown. That's really all Griffin can do at this point in time. They're really playing for the next Baron fight. Ashe is in. Oh, he actually completed the item. Okay, Ashe does not have our itemization yet. Teddy is on 4 items. Ashe really needs an Infinity Edge. Wow, I can't believe he completed them all. I really don't think he should even bought a Hex Drinker, to be honest. Like, if you're getting killed by a Kali, you're doing something wrong. You have a Tom Kinch. Alright, Camille. Alright, so Camille is taking inhibitors, so Griffin's put into a spot where they have to do something about this. This is the power of late game Camille, dude. How do we even get here, though? Let me see. How did we even get here? I wasn't paying attention. I was talking about itemization. Alright, Camille just walked in there. Griffin pushes in to get vision control, so there's nobody to answer Camille. And did they see Camille? Okay, they do see Camille. So at this time, somebody has to move down to answer. If you don't move down the answer, then you have to take Baron. So Doran's backing, but then he cancels his back because he thinks a fight's going to happen. This should be communicated because right now, since Doran canceled his back, I guess he just communicated, I can ult them anyway, but it'll be fine. But it's not going to be fine. And now they're forced in a position where they have to Baron. And now SKT, like this is a 50-50 already, right? And you just got chunked and you're taking the Baron debuff. So you just put yourself in a really terrible position. Okay? And Braum gets the Baron. Okay, Quid was able to get into the pit. Tragedy strikes on the Rift. Oh no. Oh no. Tragedy strikes on the Rift. And the game's over. Wow. Just like that. Alright, I guess we know who wins next game though. Wow. Tragedy strikes on the Rift. Easy game. Easy clap. Alrighty, well, you give SKT an inch, they'll take a mile. That's what you learned from this. Also, Quid is very good. Something that's bad is, Tarzan just wasn't making anything happen in the early game. You take the aggressive jungle matchup, and honestly, you don't have very good gank setup for mid lane. I mean, you have some gank setup, but it's so hard to actually do. I don't blame this on Tarzan, by the way. It's so hard to actually get anything off because Akali is one of the hardest champions to gank, and Faker took the defensive rune setup, so it's so hard to actually get anything done in that lane, and that's the only lane you really have good gank setup. You have good gank setup bottom side, but or you have some gank setup in the sense of you should be able to get some priority in that lane as a Xayah. But Ezreal Braum is so hard to dive. It's the most defensive bottom lane setup you can have. It's ever Ezreal Tom Kinch, so it's super hard to dive that. And then top lane, you're going to lose 2v2 unless you can get a sneaky play. So you can just play defensive. So Elise was more of a takeaway pick in this game, and wasn't able to actually do anything. They just wanted the takeaway from SKT, so Quid can't just run all over the game. Quid was able to run all over the game just with the combo of the Elise Sedge. So great draft from SKT, and they played the duo. That's what SKT does, boy. If they get solid win conditions, they play straight to them, and they often don't stray from that. Like some other teams you'll see that are very good. They'll sometimes just not play to their win conditions sometimes. So, anyways, hey, that's it for game number 2. We're gonna be doing game number 3 right after this. You don't go anywhere, okay? Bye.